What's up, guys? This is Brenner Steel Cogs, and this is going to be some more GTA 5 mods. This video is only going to cover vehicle mods, so if it's anything other than a vehicle, it's not in here, unfortunately, if you are not a fan of vehicles. But don't worry, there will be more in future videos. Anyway, earlier this week, OpenIV, which was a program used in GTA 4 where you could modify RPF files, which are kind of like zip files, but for GTA, it was like a encrypted file that you couldn't get access to. It finally updated, and we are now able to browse and edit through those files, and it allows us to have a lot more mods, basically. So all the ones that you see in this video, apart from the speedometer, are all installed using that, which unfortunately requires you to make a game backup first, with like a whole game backup, because I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that it does modify some game files that you don't want to take online. So make sure you copy and paste your GTA folder and have a backup, so when you go online you can just delete the old one and then rename the copy to just the regular GTA name, and yeah, just so you're safe online. All of these mods will of course be linked in the description, also included with OpenIV, and each mod pretty much has a tutorial on how to install it in a readme file, in the zip file you download, or in the sidebar description. The first 4 mods are all in one zip or RAR file. It's all linked on one page, but don't worry, the link will of course be there. And yeah, I'm going to start out with those 4 so you know which ones they are and which ones come with it. Starting off, we have the drift mod. Now this has been seen in multiple places that have been all over modding websites. However, they've been different versions, and a couple of them have been really noticeably different. The very first mod I had, you could just toggle it on. It was a .asi one. You literally just press a button, toggle it on, and then you shift to drift. But this one is a little bit different. You don't actually toggle it on or off, and you actually can't. Well, not that I know of, at least. The reason for this is because it is not a .asi mod, and it doesn't really allow you to bring up menus, as far as I know, when you use the RFP mods. So yeah, I don't really know what actually can be done as far as that goes. You can see I'm using the Sultan RS here, kind of customized to look like the skyline from Fast and Furious 4. But besides that fact, you can see that I'm drifting with it, and it's pretty good, but obviously, like I said, you can't toggle it, so it's kind of useless because you're basically drifting the whole time you're driving, so it's not really practical to use. Basically, if you try to drive straight, you'll just hear your gears just kind of grinding or whatever. You just hear your RPM maxing on that gear, and you just hear na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and then it doesn't go any faster. Well, I guess it does go faster, but it doesn't actually stop doing that. So it's kind of annoying, and then it's kind of like trying to drive on butter. Another thing worth mentioning is that reversing doesn't really work. You'll see here in a second that it just doesn't back up because it's like constantly wanting to just keep going forward to drift and burn out. So yeah, that's kind of another con. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next mod. And also keep in mind that this only does work with certain cars, and you can find each car that it works with on the sidebar of the mod page. The next mod is the Wheelie mod. You can see here I have Dom's 1970 Charger, more or less, from Fast and Furious movies, and basically it only works on certain cars again. But yeah, basically for this one, this is the Vigero, customized to look like Dom's Charger again. But yeah, you can see it's also another kind of impractical one. It'd really be only useful in races, which, I mean, you can't take it online, so that's kind of pointless as it is. But yeah, it does flip really easily too, by the way, with this mod, so that's another thing to note. But yeah, it is really cool. If you have seen the Fast and Furious movies, you do know that Dom is very known for having his Charger do a wheelie, and then he just kicks some ass in a race. And yeah, basically how it works is when you take off, and once you get to a certain speed, you do a wheelie, and then usually you don't flip after. I just got some unlucky times when it happened when I was in first person. But yeah, usually if you go for long enough with it wheelied, then it will go ahead and go flat on the floor and just drive like normal. The only major downside to this is that, again, you can't toggle it, so you basically have to do this, and unless you're going fast, then you are going to do a wheelie, period. So kind of a cool thing to mess around with, but again, without a toggle button, just like the drift mod, not practical. The third mod we have is the more realistic suspension mod, which works with the 4x4 trucks, kind of like the Sand King, and probably something like the Guardian, and I know there's another Sand King besides this one. But yeah, this basically, you can't really see it for yourself unless you actually go in game, but you will definitely feel a difference in the suspension. Like right there, you would not have been able to do that with the game's default suspension. Basically, the suspension is a hell of a lot softer, you bounce a lot higher, and you basically can just tackle mountains and off-roading in general way better than you can with the game's default handling settings. This one is definitely a fun one to go and just kind of 4x4 off-road with the included vehicles, and you can actually also modify it to add your own custom ones you want to work with this in, but I didn't do that. I just used the default ones. But yeah, it's really cool to go into the mountains and mess around with. Unfortunately, you can't do it with your friends because it is single player, but if you could, that would be awesome. And yeah, out of the first three I've shown so far, I think this is one of the more practical ones because you don't need to toggle it off. It's not like it can cause any negative situations like having to deal with the constant wheeling of the Vigero or other classical cars it works on, or the constant drifting of the sports cars. The fourth one is short and simple. It is the James Bond car modification. Basically, instead of shooting the machine guns out of the car, you shoot rockets, and yeah, you can use the rockets on tanks and whatnot, and it's included in the pack, so why not enable it? It's not like the JB car is super common anyways as it is, so it'd be kind of a cool bonus to see going around in game, or you know, if you're done with single player and want to just go to Zancudo and fuck shit up, then you know, why not? This one was kind of confusing to figure out how to get to work. So basically, once you have the James Bond car, the JB, whatever it's called, you want to go and you just press tab like you're switching weapons in a car as it is, and just go over to cannon, and then you just hold it right click and it shoots all of the explosives out of it. That is it for the other mod. This mod though is the GTR realism mod, or LG sort of realism mod. Basically, it modifies the LG RH8, which is the Nissan GTR R35 lookalike in GTA 5, and it basically is supposed to make the specs of it realistic. So the GTR R35 in real life has a 2.90 to 60 speed, so 2.9 seconds, it goes 0 to 60, and has a top speed of 160 miles per hour. I do a couple of launches here, and I will put in some timestamp, or not timestamps, but the little time overlays to see how accurate it is. Just judging by in-game when I was playing, it seemed pretty accurate, so pretty cool mod. I added this in because the GTR and other Nissans hold a near and dear place in my heart. I love them, and yeah, it was just something I couldn't pass up when I saw it. As you could see with the overlays, it was just under 2.9 seconds on both of them, so it is pretty damn accurate. I couldn't actually test the top speed because I couldn't really get it to go super fast, and if I did get it to go fast, it'd probably go fast because of Franklin's ability, and I didn't want to do it with any special upgrades. So yeah, that's that mod. It's pretty short and simple, but I think it's pretty cool because I love Nissans. The next mod is actually a pretty cool one. What it does is it adds deformation, well, better deformation to cars, and it makes them more durable after they've been deformed. So basically, you'll see here I have a fully upgraded Charger, or Buffalo, and yeah, I've got turbo and everything. You can hear the blow-off valves and the turbo, and I basically just use Franklin's ability to make it go as fast as it possibly can, and then I ram something head-on with it to see what the damage is. I have a few different attempts I'll show, and I couldn't actually get it to go as fast as I wanted. Before I actually started recording it, I got it to go 250, but yeah, now sometimes it doesn't always get super deformed, but if you look at it, the deformation is actually a lot different than the default game. So like right here, you can see that it's actually really bent up there, and it's not necessarily smashed in, but it's just super bent up in the front, which you wouldn't think it would normally be, and it definitely wouldn't be like that by default. Again, using Franklin's ability, this time it actually shows a little bit better of the mod. When I do hit this, I do actually fly out of the car, and you can see the front bumper flying off, and you'll see in a second here a number of other things flew off of the car itself, which I don't actually recall seeing in the vanilla game at all. So that's a really cool addition, and I think whoever made this mod did a really good job on it. Now you can see here, once I flip this over, that it is actually, the car's still drivable, so it's still pretty durable, when normally something like that would have probably blown it up, or if you can actually, you know, take it to the point where it would get that damage, then it would get blown up just by the game's default settings. So now it's flipped back over, and you can see when I get in, it is still drivable. And yeah, I actually did a test run with it, and it really honestly seemed to go pretty close to the same speed, unless the wheel gets caught on one of the fenders, then it gets pretty fucked up, and you can't really drive. I'd say this mod is probably one of my favorites out of the bunch as well, just because I really like what they did with it. I like how they were able to really modify what the cars looked like when they get hit by whatever, if you hit whatever. And yeah, I really like that the bumpers fly off and everything, and I do like also that fucking it up quite a bit doesn't really affect the speed. So yeah, because I know, like, if you, like, in the storyline, there's the mission where Michael has the fucked up car you have to drive, which, don't worry, it's not a spoiler, it's in the fucking first 2 missions. But yeah, after that last one, you can see my rear right tire is actually kind of sticking out because the back bumper and fender kind of got pushed in. And then here's me driving it really fast while it's fucked up here. Not really fast, but fairly fast for a fucked up car, and with the ability. And my front end also got pretty smashed up too, as you can see. And then finally, I did blow up on this one. It was a little too much for it. Anyway, that is it. If you do like to see these mods, and if you want to see more, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you aren't already. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.